Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayanam Namaskrityam
Narayanam Namaskrutyam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Naram Chaiva Narottamam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Devim Saraswatim Vyasam
Tato Jayamudiraят
Tato Jayamudire
Nashtaprayesu Abhadresu
Nashtaprayesu Bhadreshu
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhagavati Uttama Sloke
Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki.
Bhaktir Bhavati Naitiki.
Reading from Bhagavad Gita as it is, chapter 4, titled Transcendental Knowledge, verse 11. Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
tam sataiva bhajamyaham
Tataiva bhajamyaham
mama varmanuvartante
Mama Vartmanu Vartante
manushya partha sarvasa.
Manushaha Partha Sarvasaha
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Ye yatha Mamam Prapadyante
tam sataiva bhajamyaham
Tam Tataiva Bhajamyaham
mama varmanuvartante
Mama Vartmanu Vartante
manusya partha sarvasa.
Manushaha Partha Sarvasaha
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Ye yatha Mam Prapadyante
tam sataiva bhajamyaham
Tam Tataiva Bhajamyaham
mama vartmanuvartante manushya partha sarvasa. Any Prabhujis or Matajis would.
Ye yatha Mam Prapadyante
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Tam Tataiva Bhajamyaham
tam sataiva bhajamyaham
Mama Vartmanu Vartante
vartante
Manusha Partha Sarvasaha
manusya partha sarvasa. Anyone else?
Ye yatha mam prapadyante
Ye yatha mam
Prapadyante
tam satatthaiva bhajamyaham
sataiva bhajamyaham
mama vatmanuvartante
mama vartmanuvartante
manusyaha partha sarvasaha.
manushya partha sarvasa. Ye, all who,
all who
yatha,
yatha
as,
as
mam,
mam
unto me,
unto me
prapadyante,
prapadyante
surrender,
surrender
tan,
tan
them,
them
tatha,
tatha
so,
so
eva,
eva
certainly,
certainly
vajami,
bhajami
reward,
reward
aham,
aham
I,
I
mama,
mama
my,
my
vartama,
vartama
path,
path
anuvartante,
anuvartante
follow,
follow
manushya,
manushaha
all men,
all men
partha,
are
O son of Pritha,
O son of Pritha
sarvasa,
sarvasaha
in all respects.
in all respects.
Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. Everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Any Prabhuji or Mataji would like to read this page which you are seeing on the screen?
Everyone is searching for Krishna in the different aspect of his manifestation. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is partially realized in his impersonal Brahma Jyotir effulgence and as the all pervading super soul dwelling within everything, including the particles of atoms. But Krishna is fully realized only by his pure devotees. Consequently, Krishna is the object of everyone's realization, and thus anyone and everyone is satisfied according to one's desire to have him. In the transcendental world also, Krishna reciprocates with his pure devotees in the transcendental attitude, just as the devotee wants him. One devotee may want Krishna as Supreme Master, another as his personal friend, another as his son, and still another as his lover.
Any other Prabhu or Mataji would like to read, which is on the screen?
Krishna rewards all the devotees equally according to their different intensities of love for him. In the material world, the same reciprocations of feelings are there, and they are equally exchanged by the Lord with the different types of worshippers. The pure devotees, both here and in the transcendental abode, associate with him in person and are able to render personal service to the Lord and thus derive transcendental bliss in his loving service. As for those who are impersonalists and who want to commit spiritual suicide by annihilating the individual existence of the living entity, Krishna helps also by absorbing them into his effulgence. Such impersonalists do not agree to accept the eternal blissful personality of Godhead. Consequently, they cannot relish the bliss of the transcendental personal service to the Lord, having extinguished their individuality.
Any other Prabhu or Mataji would like to read this page?
Some of them who are not firmly situated, even in the impersonal existence, return to this material world to exhibit their dormant desires for activities. They are not admitted into the spiritual planets, but they are again given a chance to act on the material planets. For those who are fruitive workers, the Lord awards the desired results of their prescribed duties as the Yagneshwara. And those who are yogis seeking mystic powers are awarded such powers. In other words, everyone is dependent for the success upon his mercy alone, and all kinds of spiritual processes are but different degrees of success on the same path.
Anyone would like to read this page?
Unless they for some reason, probably the screen is flickering for me. I don't know why.
Oh, okay.
I don't know, it's my end or your end?
Yeah, in my end, it's all good. Others, do you have?
Prabhuji, I'm on the phone, so maybe.
Okay.
Unless, therefore, one comes to the highest platform, perfection of Krishna consciousness, all attempts remain imperfect, as it is stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 2.3.10. Akama sarvakamo va mokshakama udarati tivrena bhakti yogena yajeta purusham param. Whether one is without desire, the condition of devotees, or is desirous of all fruitive results, or is after liberation, one should with all efforts try to worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead for complete perfection culminating in Krishna consciousness.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुर्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमो। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुवैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखावितं। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकाकांत राधाकांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुस्ते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वंशकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमो। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So thank you so much for joining this weekly online Bhakti Vriksha, and what a powerful verse by Swayam Bhagavan, Lord Krishna. And Krishna very simply explaining, Ye yathamam prapadante tam sataiva bhajameham. The way you approach to Krishna, Krishna reciprocates accordingly. So this verse is the hallmark of reciprocation. And here Krishna is referring to Arjuna as Partha. That means he is the son of Pritha. Maharani Kunti is also named as Pritha. And so anyone who follows this path in all respects, I reward them accordingly. So there is a very, very powerful message Krishna is giving here in this verse. In this verse, Krishna is saying, the way people come to me, I reciprocate accordingly. So that means if somebody comes to Krishna as a simple person and somebody who doesn't consider Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna accordingly reciprocates, not as a Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when a person completely surrenders unto me, he reciprocates accordingly. And this verse is the pinnacle of our understanding of reciprocation and surrender. So, and there, Srila Prabhupada, as you can see, is referring to three kind of devotees. People who believe in the Brahmajyoti or the effulgence of the Lord, and then the second kind of devotees who understand the Supreme as the localized expansion, as Paramatma, and finally somebody may look at the Supreme Lord as a personal friend or as a son, purely as a personal attribute, or as a lover, or as a son, or as a friend. They consider the Lord as the personal relationship of the Supreme. And there Prabhupada in this subsequent paragraph is giving a lot of details around the Brahmajyoti, the Paramatma, and the Bhagavan. And then Srila Prabhupada explains about the impersonal existence. And then Srila Prabhupada quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam in this verse, and for the complete perfection. So there is a lot to talk about this verse, but for the time being, for the sake of time, we will focus on the reciprocal aspect of this verse. So if somebody thinks Krishna as a simple person, the person who has no powers, and accordingly Krishna has no qualms, Krishna reveals to him accordingly. But someone who is completely surrendering to the Supreme, he reveals differently. And that is exactly what Krishna is saying. Krishna started reciting or referring to this verse in the fifth verse of this chapter, Bhagavan Ubacha, and now we are into 11th. So in the 11th, and Krishna is calling Arjuna in various different names, and here he is calling him as Partha. That means, oh Partha, that means he is giving that element of friendly love to Arjuna. And while saying that, he is mentioning that the way people approach me, I reciprocate accordingly. So the Lord is the greatest reciprocator, and there are different people who have different understanding, and accordingly, Lord reciprocates. And some of the examples given by our acharyas and by our parampara is when you look at milk, right? Somebody who looks at milk with one of his sense of vision, it looks like white liquid, right? And a person who has never experienced milk may think that this milk is a white paint or something like that. And there are another kind of people who experience this by smelling it, and they experience a totally different thing if they have never seen a milk. And a person who finally takes milk, he can truly understand what milk is, how nutritious the milk is for the body. So, in order to understand milk, we have to closely recognize having superficial knowledge is actually not going to help us. And that is where this example of milk is given. A person who has never seen milk, he will think it's a white paint. He will smell it differently, and he will see that it is coming from some animal. But the person who has taken it, he has experienced the nutritious value of the milk, he can understand milk. So in order to have complete understanding, we have to go very close and try to recognize the Supreme in a very unique way, not in a very superficial way, like the person who thinks that it is a white liquid. So another time this example is given is anytime we go to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, we go with a lot of complaint. We are not very happy. We say, why did God do this to me? Why is God not giving this to me? But at the same time, we have never recognized that anytime we wake up, there are billions and millions of people who wake up with a lot of pain in their body. There are a lot of people who do not have food to eat, but we always look for the negativity and what we don't have. And whenever we do not have anything, we complain to the Lord. It is a very general thing. It happens all the time. And that is where we have to understand the scripture a little bit closer. So whenever we go to a restaurant, for example, right, and there, the person who is getting the items you have ordered, he will get, dosa, he will get vada, he will get lassi, but that little sambar and chutney he may have missed. When you see that this person did not get it, you look at and complain to that person, oh, you did not get sambar, we did not get chutney. But think about how many items you have got, he has got for you. But immediately our first sight goes into, okay, I have ordered this is what he did not get for me. And we have the tendency and the propensity to complain. So this example is also very common in our lives, because we have a tendency to have the complaining attitude. We do not recognize how much good we have. Many of us, live and have a decent lifestyle. Many of us have nutritious food, but there are many people in this world who do not have, proper meals in a day. There are a lot of people who have, challenges in their physical life, and we never have that sense of gratitude for the Supreme. And always, when we start complaining, we get into that element of negativity. So once upon a time, there was there were bunch of people who had never seen a train. Okay, so they had never seen a train. Uh, so in the night, they recognized that there is train coming from this side, from east to west, and they all gathered near the railway line. And in the night, when the train was from a very far off place, one person, he saw that there is this light coming from a very far off place. You have this train's lights, right? So, and he has never seen a train, and there is a person who knew how a train looked. So he said to him, "Hey, you see, train is coming." But this person has never seen a train in his life. So what he saw is that light from the train, which was really coming closer to him. So when this light was coming, he thought train is all about approaching light. So you have this jyoti which is coming and is getting close, and when it is getting close, train is nothing but a ray of light coming from a far off place. And with that limited understanding, he left. Then there is another set of person who stayed back. And as the train was coming, it was making that noise. And this person heard. And from the localized understanding of the sound the train was making, this person said, this train is a thing which makes this noise. And that's how I understand train. He did not have the patience, he did not have the time to spend with the person who knows how train looks, and he left. But finally, there was a person who waited for the train to arrive in the platform, and then he saw that the train has a front engine, has a list of bogies, and there are people coming out, going in. There is a catering service. There is a whole 9 yards around the train. There is a ticket collector who is checking the ticket. So he understood the train left to right, front to back. But the first and second person, the first person who left without looking and waiting for the train to arrive and analyze, they left with a very incomplete understanding. So you can all say, the person who left in the beginning, did they have the right understanding of the train? They thought it's a ray of light.
No.
No. The second group of people, Prabhuji, they heard about the sound, and he thought the train is something which makes this chuk 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 noise, and had a very limited understanding. And that's where Srimad Bhagavatam clarifies our understanding. He says in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11, it is mentioned, Vadanti tat vidas tvattvam yajabhyanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabdyate. You see, the last two lines is on board. Brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti sabdyate. So the people who left early, who thought the train has this light, they have this effulgence, Brahmajyoti, that is compared with this Brahmeti. You see, Brahmeti, they think it is related to that Brahmajyoti, and with that Brahmajyoti knowledge, that person left. So the people who relied on Brahmajyoti, did they understand what train is? That this ray is coming far off? No. Then there is another set of people who believed in the in the localized aspect of the Lord, the Paramatma, Paramatmeti, right here, Paramatmeti. They have also very limited understanding. But when the train arrived, the person went, talked to the TT, went to the catering service, and interacted with the train as if the train is a person. They understood what train is all about. So we have to think, who is God from this verse? You might have heard this verse many times, and there are many people in your family, in your external circles, they will explain to you the importance of meditation, the importance of, the Brahma Jyoti, the Jnani angle, Paramatmiti, the yogi angle. But the people who truly understand the Supreme is when you understand Him as Bhagavan. Bhagavan is the one who has all the opulences, and that is the personal form of the Lord. So, the only way to recognize the Lord is the Bhagavan form. If you think that He is a Brahma Jyoti, and as Krishna is saying, yeah, He is going to give you that understanding. But that understanding, because the way you approach, Krishna is going to reciprocate. If you approach with a very superficial understanding, like the Jnanis who have the Brahman aspect, the Brahma Jyoti aspect, as if there is a ray coming and there is no form, it's Nirakar, you'll have that. You'll have that. And that's why, just because they have it, they go out and spread the message that Lord has no form. Srimad Bhagavatam, as you can see right in front of you, contradicts that. Srimad Bhagavatam says, Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti Sadyati. Then the subsequent aspect is Paramatma. Paramatma, are for yogis, is the localized understanding of Paramatma, but that is also full of flaws. That is not complete. But the way, and if a yogi comes to the Supreme, as Lord Krishna is saying in this verse, he will reciprocate accordingly. No problem. You want to treat me like Paramatma? Okay, no problem. I'm going to give my darshan to you as Paramatma. But that is very limited understanding. But the real understanding, as you can see in Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.11, Bhagavan iti satyate. That means the absolute truth lies in me as Bhagavan. That means I have opulence. And there are 6 opulence, right? You all know about it. We have covered it. I have all the power, I have all the beauty, and I have all the, opulence. I mean, I am the richest person in the world. And in spite of having all of the 5 qualities, I'm still renounced. Generally, when you have all the qualities, you are not renounced, you are attached. But here, Bhagavan, like Balaban, has Bala. Dhanavan has Dhana. Bhagavan is one who has Bhaga. Those are the 6 qualities we spoke earlier. So, so this verse is a check on how we want to recognize the Supreme. If we want to recognize the Supreme as a person, he is going to give his association as a person, as His Divine Grace so nicely mentions here, that one devotee may want Krishna as the Supreme Master, like Hanuman, another as his personal friend, like Arjuna, and another as his son, like Yashodamai, and others as his lover, like the gopis and Radharani. The way they approach, Krishna gives. But in the last line in this purport, Krishna is explaining very, very clearly that These are personal rasas, and that is the complete way to understand me. So, if somebody wants to come for uh, dhan, for example, then Lord is going to give the so it's very important. There is a hilarious message which Lord gives. Be careful what you choose to ask for, because Lord is so merciful. The way you approach, He is going to give it to you. But we have to be very careful what we ask. So one of our videos you may have seen from ISKCON on Prabhuji is so nicely explaining. There is this person, he wanted to ask Lord, he wanted to get a boon, that Lord, make me in such a situation that I do not have to give anything to anyone. I basically take anything all the time. I'll be taking things from others. And Lord says, yeah, the way you approach to me, I'm going to honor it. But you know what happened to him? In the next life, he became a beggar. Beggar is a person who cannot give anything to anybody, and he always takes things from everybody else. So be careful in what you ask for. That's the reason why the best way to understand the Supreme is to do the service to the Supreme. And when you do service to the Supreme, all the asking, the complaining we spoke about, all that goes away. We become very much appreciative of the Lord. We become very happy what they have given us, and that brings that element of peace. See, the all these tenets of bhakti we are discussing in various different topics is eventually intended to give you and your family that element of happiness and satisfaction. If that is not happening, then we have to refine that, and we all have to refine it in some sense. So, as you can see, Lord is explaining in very sweet way his dealings, and he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's going to any extent. He's calling Arjuna Gudakesha. He's calling Pritha. And the extent of love which is being showered to Arjuna through various different calls is so amazing. Lord wants us to be happy, and he's just explaining the inner workings, the science of all of these, so that it leads us to self-realization. If that is not happening, we have to discuss more as to, because the intent of all of these is to derive an element of happiness. But generally the people who they have found out, they have done a research that the people who complain in their lives, they're the most unhappiest people in the whole world. And if anyway we reduce that element of complaining and have that element of appreciation, then our lives are going to be transformed. Most of the time, it's the life is all about the age of Kali, the age of quarrel and hypocrisy, is all about complaining. I didn't get this, I didn't get that. But if you step back and see what you got, you realize that you're much better off than millions and billions of people in the world. And the way, so what Krishna is dovetailing in all these verses is to enable us to be appreciative of what he has given us, not complaining. And at the end of the day, this will lead us to, as we spend more time in Krishna consciousness, our desire, our material desire, are supposed to go down technically, and also our taste for devotional service increases. So this complaining comes down, and element of appreciation goes up. So as if you're appreciating somebody, you're basically eating your personal ego, because because that ego is coming in all of us before we open up to appreciate somebody. So here Krishna in that little verse is explaining a lot of philosophical inner workings of our day-to-day life, how we should have an attitude of gratitude. Once we have that attitude of gratitude, our day-to-day happiness is going to multiply, and that is exactly how it's supposed to be.
Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Krishna
Yes,
Krishna
Prabhuji.
Krishna.
So with that, I would like to end here. There's a lot to talk about this, but I hope some of the messages was at least or the reflections were clear. If it is not, I would like to discuss more in the next 15-20 minutes. Thank you so much. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai.
Jai.
Right.